Hey everybody, I hope you are doing well. I am Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. On here, I want to check in with you all today with a political reading. Going to keep it short. Man, did we have some interesting developments. I'm taping this on Saturday, March 16. Yesterday, the 15th, Judge Scott McAfee did in fact render his decision that Fani Willis can stay on the case. Nathan Wade had to go. We've heard by now Nathan Wade shortly thereafter tendered his resignation. Interesting little love letters, I'm going to call them, between his resignation. They were published online. Wade's resignation letter, followed by Fani Willis's acceptance of that resignation. I'll say this. Clearly, on a personal note, on a romantic note, she and Nathan Wade are like done, 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 and they have been done for a while. But the respect between them was really clear. She said during the hearings that she did not deny their friendship. She refused, as someone reminded me in the comments, that during her testimony she said she refused to emasculate a black man. So to the extent that I think she and Wade understood what was going to need to happen. I think Wade saw the writing on the wall long before Judge McAfee's decision. I guess he just didn't want to voluntarily do it, resign. So he needed to see how things were going to play out. What I want to look at today, though, is, I saw and Spirit showed in the last reading that we did on Fani Willis and the potential decision, which we got that right. Spirit didn't lead us wrong, that in fact she was not going to be disqualified. But her battles, you all, are just, I can remember I got the Nine of Wands for her. And that's a card that indicates in tarot, it indicates like burdens, like serious burdens, and not being able to get out from underneath it. So now, from what I understand, despite Judge McAfee's ruling, and let's just say, Scott McAfee, young guy, 34, 35 years old. He is playing chess. He ain't playing checkers. When he rendered that decision about throwing out those 6 counts on Wednesday, prior to the ruling on Fani Willis remaining in the case on Friday, that was chess, you all. That was that. As soon excuse me, as soon as I saw that, I thought, okay, he's doing this in part to soften the blow, the timing of that release of that decision around dismissing those 6 counts. He knew that there was going to be a lot of bluster and backlash, perhaps potential backlash, for the decision that he was going to render regarding Fani Willis. So he tried to get out in front of it a little bit, I think, with the decision around dismissing those 6 counts. Plenty more counts still on the books from where those came from. So that's not going to necessarily harm the case. It did highlight some gaps and some holes that were made in the DA's office, when they brought those charges, that they were not more specific in stating the actual parts of the Constitution, I believe it was, and the actual laws and remedies. I don't want to get too legal here because that's not my thing. But the bottom line is his decision, he dropped those counts because there wasn't enough to substantiate and give the defense a chance to counter those arguments. So that could have been done a little better. But again, that said, plenty more counts where those came from. There's still a lot of meat to go on there. A lot of areas there for them to pursue charges. That said, one of the really interesting things, and I want to take a look at today, Scott McAfee not only reprimanded Fani Willis for her conduct during the hearings, right? Not aside from the fact poor judgment, lapse in judgment. You all have heard that by now. But what I found really interesting is he also talked about the potential for a gag order relative to Fani Willis going forward, because there was a lot made by the defense side about this speech that she gave at a church in Atlanta, and the idea that it could prejudice a potential jury pool in the future. So that is something that Scott McAfee did address in his ruling, and basically said, watch your mouth, Fani, watch your mouth. And so I want to take a look and see because Fani's not somebody who's going to, we've seen this. She's a fighter. I wonder the extent to which she's going to take heed to that We have the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I want to see if, in fact, things are going to reach a point where McAfee has to actually, we have the Strength card, where Judge McAfee has to actually issue a gag order on Fani Willis. I have the Tower. Nah, she learned her lesson. And Justice. Ooh, I love it. We have the Tower and the Justice card. Fani recognizes that if she's not careful, this taught her a lesson, a very powerful lesson. She knows just how close she came to losing it all. For all of the work that was put in to actually get to the point of being able to bring those charges, she realizes how just, razor's edge. So the Tower, I think that's been a breakthrough. Rather than everything crumbling down around her, I think she's going to see this as, a serious warning and a breakthrough, and really she's going to buckle down harder than ever to make sure that everything is airtight. Everything is airtight going forward. That Strength and that Four of Wands that I initially pulled, I think this is her team. She has those who back her. She has some people, certainly she has her share of enemies, but she has some people, her staff and the people behind her on her team really are, I almost see, they're giving me a vision of like, in the civil rights marches where they lock arms, arm in arm in arm. That seems to be the position that they're taking. So I don't think that she's going to things are going to get to the point that she has to actually be put under a gag order by Judge McAfee. She's going to avoid that. Secondly, though, a couple of things. Georgia state legislature is foaming at the mouth about trying to find something else to do. They don't want to let up on her. They're not going to let up on her. I don't know what else they can do in terms of her conduct to try and prove something else to disqualify her. But I just want to ask Spirit, is the Georgia state legislature going to come up with anything else that's substantive that may in fact put Fani Willis in jeopardy? We have the Three of Cups, and the Three of Pentacles. They're working at it. They're pissed off. Many members of the Georgia state legislature, the conservative element, well, mostly conservative anyway. They are ticked to the height of tickdom that this happened, that people are celebrating that Three of Cups, that people are celebrating what feels like a victory for her. What is a victory for her? She's on the case, but that Three of Pentacles is, yes, they're trying to do the work to see what else they can come up with. Spirit, will it be successful? Will they actually find something? Seven of Swords, nope. They will twist, they're going to try and twist anything that they can find to build. It almost reminds me, Spirit is giving me the way that things are happening with the so-called Biden impeachment effort. We've watched how step by step that has just crumbled and imploded, and there's no there. And I don't think the Georgia state legislature, they're going to try and find some there, but they're not going to find it. Also, interestingly, Jim Jordan piped up, head of the House Judiciary Committee, and has subpoenaed Fani Willis's office. Apparently, they received, what do I have here? $488,000, a federal grant for some funds regarding a Center of Youth Empowerment and Gang Prevention. So they have subpoenaed Fani Willis's office to prove, to show all financial records relating to this $488,000 grant, to show exactly to the penny how funds have been used. That's Jim Jordan jumping in the fray to say, we're gonna, GOP state legislature, you do what you can do on your end. I'm gonna see what I can, what dust I can muck up and stir around on this end regarding those funds. I'm gonna take a look and ask Spirit. We have the Emperor. That's Jim Jordan losing his mind right now. With that fake mask. I love that. All right. So that's how he's coming across right now, saying, I got this. We're going to take a look at, you're going to have to furnish every bit of evidence around what's been done with this $488,000. Are there going to be any bumps in the road regarding that funding for Fani Willis and her team? The King of Pentacles, That's somebody on her team that's working on putting everything together and furnishing those documents. You have the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like that's also a part of her team that's putting together those documents. We have the Six of Pentacles, the resources that were used, the money. We have the Three of Swords. They're ticked off that they even have to do this. And the Page of Pentacles. Is anything detrimental? Three of Wands. Is anything detrimental going to come out of this, out of the documents? Anything that reflects poorly on Fani? We have the Chariot. I don't think so. She's going to get past it. We have the Chariot and the Knight of Pentacles. Once again, it is something designed to slow her progress in the prosecution of the case and in heading up her team. Of course, now with the resignation of Nathan Wade, who, as I understand it, was one of the lead prosecutors. So he wasn't just on the team, but he, for the last couple of years now, he's been really in the thick of it. And so there's that reshuffling that she has to undergo. So this effort by Jordan, but she's got enough people on her team. Whoever that king and queen of pentacles that showed up, those are other people on her team who are being assigned to that and will take care of that. But the Chariot makes me think, no, they're not going to come up with anything that's really going to be damaging to her. It's more about just more stress, stalling. That Nine of Wands that Spirit gave us in that last reading regarding what was going to ultimately happen with Fani Willis. So they're just piling on her. But I don't see anything at this time. I don't see anything that's going to turn up around that money, that federal grant, that's going to be damaging to her. Yeah, we have Temperance. As the saying goes, much ado about nothing. I think there's going to be they're going to have to comply with the subpoena at some point, but I don't think what the findings are going to in any way point directly to Fani and be something that becomes big enough to then challenge her ability to prosecute the case. All right, so we can move on. Let's talk about the GOP exodus that's happening. The resignation out of I don't think it was out of the blue. I think, again, there's nothing that's done in Congress without, this checkmate sort of thing. Ken Buck came out and said, listen, I'm out. I'm not waiting. He had already announced last year, Ken Buck out of Colorado, representative out of Colorado, for those who may not know. He had already announced his decision not to run again. We have been hearing in recent weeks or a month or so, a couple of months, that many of the more traditional leaning GOP members are just saying, this is not what we signed up for. This is not how it needs to be. We have people, of course, well-known people like Mitt Romney. Mike Pence came out and said, I'm not going to endorse Trump. Just can't do it. It's not right. So there's this sense of truly the GOP party no more. The GOP party of old, Reagan's GOP party, McCain's GOP party, not there any longer. It's out. So Kim Buck says he's out of there. What is really interesting is this is making Mike Johnson look worse, and Mike Moses Johnson, who was supposed to be, again, he called himself, said he had a word from Moses himself. Jesus told him, God told him that he was designed and meant and purposed for this position as the Senate lead. The congressional leader. And here you have people, they said they had the GOP had their annual retreat someplace in Virginia, and nobody showed, or like less than half the members showed up. And those who did said I read a couple of pieces, said they spent most of their time at the bar and on the golf course. All right. Because there were no dynamic speakers. Trump declined an invitation to appear, despite the fact that old boy went down there and basically kissed the ring and said, Mike Johnson meaning, went down there and kissed Trump's ring and, said, I'm going to do anything I can for you. So, but people just aren't hearing it. This man is not making any friends. He does not have the cachet. He does not have the power. So Mike Moses Johnson is, he in some ways is causing an exodus, if we want to get biblical, around the GOP. But I also want to take a look at whether, so they're losing potentially losing some seats. There's going to be a gap between when Buck actually leaves and a primary, I think, that's taking place in Colorado for his replacements in June. Lauren Boebert has hit the roof and is really in a pickle because she, trying to be strategic, knowing that she's on thin ice, if she continues to run, she's in the 3rd district of Colorado, and they're like, after she was found at the play at the theater, groping some guy, got her little vape doing her thing like on camera. So she's had a hard time coming out from under that. And she barely won her district, the 3rd district in Colorado. Barely won it. So she said, okay, I'm out of there. I know, in the wake of this, I'm probably not going to win the next one. So she switched to Kim Buck's district, 4th district. However, she is not, in order for her to, in the development of him deciding to leave now, Kim Buck, she'd have to go ahead and leave her position in the 3rd district now in order to go for that primary in June. And she's not willing to do that, which means that it's going to leave her having to fight for that seat in November when all of this momentum is already going on around his replacement. And she has to basically sit back and watch it happen. The only way she could do it is if she went ahead and resigned her post now in the 3rd district, which would leave another seat open. She can't do it. They got that. She is between a rock and a hard place. But I want to see. So that said, apparently though, she's still well liked. They said she has like over $1 million in her war chest to campaign. I want to see what's going to happen with Lauren Boebert in November. Is she out? Because she ain't going to win it in the 3rd district. She knew that. That's why she tried to move over to the 4th. Now Kim Buck is heading out. The hangman. Yeah, that hangman is her. She's in a position where she's between that rock and a hard place. She can't leave the current district and leave that another seat open. Leave them down another number. At the same time, that's going to make her fight in November for that seat a lot harder. Is she out? She's, death. Okay, Spirit is like, can you hear us clearly anymore now? Yeah, Lauren Boebert is out. And she sees that writing on the wall and she's really ticked off about it. But hey, there's we'll see what's next for her or not. I have a feeling she's gonna be gone. Bye-bye. All right, so there's that. Oh, the other thing I wanted to look at, Kim Buck apparently, dropped a little hint that his leaving and the feelings and the momentum around the more traditional leaning GOP members of the House are like, we are tired of this. This is not what we want to do. And he indicated that there might be some more unexpected departures. Want to look at that. I don't know who they would be, but I just want to look. Spirit, are there more departures that are coming by House members, GOP House members, in the wake of Kim Buck's resignation? 100%. Ace of Cups. Get ready for it. There's going to be some more. And so what that's going to do, and the Wheel of Fortune, yeah. Don't know who. Maybe we need to, maybe there's some of our political psychics out there who can name some names. Of course, he wasn't going to name names. He clearly knows who they are. And I'm sure he's had many conversations around that. But, yeah, it's going to happen, you all. We're going to see Kim Buck is the start. I don't think it's going to be a mass exodus, but we're going to see a couple more people leave now that Kim Buck has left. And that's going to cause some more runoffs. November is going to be really judgment. November is going to be incredibly, incredibly interesting. So many of us are focused on just the presidential elections, but a lot of these congressional races are going to be some to watch, you all. Like, really, really some to watch. All right, and finally, I wanted to wrap up today. Tale of two entirely different pictures around women. We had, on the one hand, we had this Senator Katie Britt who came out. We've heard of, we saw clips or certainly heard about that she crashed and burned with the State of the Union GOP response after Biden's State of the Union address. Scarlett Johansson did a really interesting skit. It was so cool. She did an interesting skit on SNL of Katie Britt in this kitchen, right? The whole, being in this kitchen. And, so interesting. Our political stage right now is so twisted. So, of course, people went to news outlets went to Katie Britt to get her response to being spoofed on SNL by Scarlett Johansson. She was thrilled. She was like, I thought it was just amazing, just seeing themselves, this notion of celebrity, even if it is something that makes them look less than stellar, which Katie Britt's performance was just, this whole breezy, and she apparently had been coached by Mike Johnson, for whatever that's worth, who told her, don't worry about it, you'll do fine, everything's good. I wonder the extent to which, their whole, this far right's push to paint this picture of putting women back in the 50s, essentially. You're supposed to just have babies and be housewives. Like, who could afford that anymore, first of all? But contrasting that picture of Katie Britt with Senator, where'd that come from? Vice President Kamala Harris, who made history by going to Milwaukee and speaking at that abortion clinic. So we know that part of the Biden-Harris ticket this year is going to focus squarely on what happened in the wake of, the Dobbs decision. There's going to be a lot of momentum gained. They got to play that ace up their sleeves around women's reproductive rights. And so Kamala Harris, first sitting U.S. Vice President to actually go to a place, an abortion clinic. And she said as part of her intro, so let me go ahead and just say the word right now, uterus, and that the idea that it's okay to talk about these subjects in public. It is okay that, especially with women's rights being, a pivotal part of what is becoming an increasing political dialogue, and that it's going to take effect. It's going to play a huge role in the elections this year. So I think that's awesome that Kamala got out in front of that. But this opposing views of women's roles at this point, I'm asking Spirit if, in fact, aside from, we know that the Biden-Harris ticket has got to push on that, like, don't let your feet up off the gas, around that Milwaukee is one of the few, let me watch my language there, but we know that there are only so many, with bans having put in place in some states, there are only so many quote unquote safe havens now for women to go and be able to get that reproductive care. All right. So I want to see the extent to which this is really turning into, if the feminist movement is launching a new feminist movement, not just around the Biden-Harris ticket and the presidential elections, but something on a broader scale. Like, there's some sort of, because what that would do, we have the Eight of Pentacles, so there's some growth around it. Because what that would do is it would help women. There were some thoughts that women who are Republican women will often say they're going to vote one way, but then when they get in the booth or write that mail-in ballot, they will vote their conscience in terms of protecting women's freedoms. I have a feeling that Spirit is saying, with the Two of Swords, they're conflicted about it because they are being put under pressure, meaning right-leaning women. They're being put under pressure to fall in line and say, listen, ultimately being in the kitchen and cooking and taking care of our families is what we're meant to do. That whole evangelical movement part of it. But there's something else that's underway, you all. The Two of Wands. Thank you. That Two of Wands counters that Two of Swords. Because while the Two of Swords says, see that taping over the mouth, it says, I don't know what to say yet. I don't know what to do yet. I'm at cross purposes around how can I want to use my voice. I don't want to be silenced. I do believe in women's reproductive rights, even if my party says that it doesn't, meaning the Republican Party, GOP. So there's that internal struggle. But ultimately there is also, with that Two of Wands, says, but we have to keep our vision on, moving forward and what is best for women moving forward. Because trust me, it's not just liberal women who are facing unwanted pregnancies due to a variety of reasons. Okay. So that there is going to be a rise in a movement. We have the moon, and that which is deeply feminine, the divine feminine, and it is about worries. It is about people genuinely feeling that their personhood is being diminished. It is so much bigger than just a political issue, and the rights to an abortion or the rights to certain reproductive care, the rights to even the what is the IVF, issues that have come up. Like women having agency over their bodies is more than just a political issue. And yes, it is going to play out powerfully on the political stage, but I think it is also going to be a uniter. Thank you, Spirit. Ace of Wands. That was my confirmation I needed. It is going to be a uniter with women from different backgrounds, from different political ideologies, because the feminist movement, in any movement, in order for it to be successful, it needs that participation and that collaboration from sectors of people who may differ in many other ways, but believe and gather fundamentally around a given topic. And this issue around reproductive rights, yeah, if you ask women right now who they felt more aligned with, this Katie Britt who's standing there, giving completely fake and false information, and well, we've all heard about that. So totally didn't do her party any favors. And on the other hand, you have someone dynamic like Kamala Harris, who says, I will use the platform of my office to be a voice. And she's been doing a lot of that. She's going to do a lot more. And I think we're going to see some other people as well. All right, you all. I hope that was helpful. I enjoy your weekend. Stay safe out there. I will be doing a spiritual reading around the lunar eclipse that's coming up on the 25th. So I will do a pick a card reading around that. So just check back in with me. I really appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. If you're interested in learning more about me or booking a reading with me, you can check out my website, and the link to that will be below in the description as well. Okay? Take good care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.